Hey, it's Redtail. I want to show you guys some stuff that I thought would come in handy if you're struggling with the 1100 series. Now, the 1100 series, to me, as far as I know, it has the same core as the 5200 series. This is the Blue American 1100. It is pretty straightforward. They come with one key. For some reason, the blue ones come with one key. I don't know if y'all have had the same experience as I've had. The blue one only came with one key. Green, however, came with two. That was the one I did for my green belt. Black came with two. So again, I don't know if it's just that the blue one came with just one key for whatever reason. The 5200 series is what we used when I was in the military. And this particular one has some interesting bitting on it. Yeah, that stumped me for a minute. And I was more or less intimidated by it as someone who's only been picking for a couple of months. The zero lift on these were a bit of a horse's backside. And turned out that the last two pins in this are spools, although it really doesn't matter because the first three pins are like one cuts, like barely one bump. You'll feel them, and they're serrated. So it's 3 serrated and 2 spools, which is ironically the same exact setup as this guy. The cores are interchangeable on the American 5200s, the American 1100s, as far as I can tell. It looks like the same cores. So that being said, something cool to know is that through CLK, I believe, I got these. These are spool pins, come in a 100 pack for about $2 and change. These are serrated drivers, and these are springs. What I'm going to show you today, my intention is to show you, is picking this blue 1100 series and then showing you how you can take the core and basically manipulate the top pins by putting them where you want to, looking at the core and looking at your pins on the key pins and how deep they set into the plug and deciding, do I want to go this one here or that one there? Is it better to put a spool or a serrated pin? There's a lot of other videos of other people doing this, but I thought it was pretty cool that you can get onto CLK and for a couple of bucks, buy enough pins to repin all your American locks to however you want to pin them and redo the springs if you wanted to do that. Sparrows has an 1100 kit that comes with these guys, which is basically the pins and springs, along with some regular standard pins. And they also have in that a nifty little, yeah, there's some standard pins, some serrated pins, and I think in here there's a couple of spool pins. So standard, serrated, and spool. With this kit, you can probably repin 2 or 3 masters or pack or 1100s, or even the 5200s if you want to repin those on the top pins to make them more difficult, more challenging, however you want to play with it, to keep yourself entertained with the same lock or different cores, however you want to play that. In that kit from Sparrows, you will also get a top of the keyway wrench, which is set specifically for that keyway to sit in the top, and it won't get in the way. Sets like so in the top of the keyway. I personally prefer the ergo turners from Covert Instruments. That's my pick. You know, whatever fits good in your hand, whatever you're comfortable picking with, that's great. In that kit, you also get, along with the wrench and so on and so forth, the wrench, the pins, the top pins, and the springs, you will also get a monkey paw with the marking lines on there. You can see clearly now for each pin position. So as you're going through, if you're lining it up, you can see based off of the position of those marks along the face of the plug where your hook is. Again, pretty cool little get up. I thought it was worth it. A little bit of fun to play with. I also wanted to bring up the Abus. The Avis has a different keyway. It's an interesting little guy. It seems intimidating when you first start looking at it because it sits off center. It's not straight up and down. The American 1100, ironically, is almost identical. It's just sitting the other direction. So don't be afraid of the Avis. This particular one has all spools and one standard, which makes it a lot of fun to pick if you're just sitting there fiddling around. That being said, on with the show, they said. So, I don't think we need this, but I'm going to show you. I have moved the pins around once or twice on this because if you paid attention, if you saw it, if not, that's okay. That last pin is a zero lift pin. So the last key pin means I don't have to touch it. So why put a spool there? Makes no sense, right? Unless you're just dropping a spool. But for this lock, with this key, to have a spool pin there, don't make a whole lot of sense to me. We're going to talk about that. So when I gut this thing in a minute, we'll see what I'm talking about. Now, this is not a video for any kind of challenge or anything like that. This isn't for a belt. So all I'm going to do is pick it and then gut it and show you what I'm talking about with regards to the arrangement of those pins. And if I can do it quickly, that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? I think I got that one. Seems like all I have to do on that last one is just touch it. I'm over here doing my pinky. Sometimes this bad boy just pops open in my hands. Everybody has their tricks. False set. Means I'm almost there, and that was an overset. I jumped it, didn't I? I got my false set back, and those of you watching who are like, I know what he did. Yeah, I let off tension just enough to con that little bad boy back into place. Some of these videos you'll see guys that just crack these things and they just bust them open and you're like, how come I can't do that? Well, they probably did 15 or 16 takes, or they really are that good. And I would love to be that good one day, but I'm human, just a human. I think it's okay to be human. I think it's okay not to be the lock-picking lawyer or anybody else. I like being me, and I think that we're all okay the way we are, and learning takes time. And there we go. So there's that. Now, I said I was going to gut this thing. I'm going to gut it. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about on the pins. Excuse me for the hands. So from here on out, you're probably going to see a little bit of just my hands. I have done this a few times, so bear with me. Set things out of the way. Now, because I want the plug to face with this silver, this flat piece, I want it to be rotated the other way. I am going to use the key, come around and face that way. First thing we got to do, as we know, we're going to take the circlip off. C-clip, circlip, whatever you want to call the thing. It's the thing, you know, the thing. We're all going to call it whatever we want to call it anyways, right? And if you scarp your knuckles, it just adds character. And we're gently going to set, gently, my foot, we're going to set that guy down. Now I'm going to use a shim. Because when you think, oh, I got this, I don't need to shim it, that's when you hear doing, and everything goes everywhere, right? Right. Okay, so first thing I wanted to show you guys was this. So key is installed, all the lines, everything's at shear, right? Y'all can see that, making sure that I can see it as well. If I remove the key, what I'm going to do here is take my pinning tweezers and push down on these key pins. Right, like so. Notice that last one, don't go anywhere. Everything else kind of drops a little bit. If I take the hook and push down on it, I can see where things go. Now with all the pins pushed as far down as they go, I'm going to show you what some people will do and how this can help you with practicing what you're doing when you're trying to get your skill level up a bit. You can take a serrated pin and a spool pin and see, let's see here, the best way to show this, if I take this up like this and show you this, forgive me, but I'm trying to get a little personal here. If I set this spool pin in there and mash it down with my finger, see how it sits right at the line where it's almost peeking through, right? That is a great spot for that spool. The next one over, it's even further down. Again, a wonderful spot for that spool. And don't you get off the table on me. If I go to two, again, it's barely peeking up. But if I push on it just a little bit, it'll cant to the side. You see that? Great spot for a spool. If I'm trying to practice my spool picking, that would be wonderful. And if I put it into position 1, it barely drops. So maybe not the best position for a spool pin. Maybe that's a better position to get the feel on a serrated pin where it gets down a little bit and I can feel some clicking. Same thing with that one. Get a little clicking, right? On that one, I'm going to feel it. On the deeper cuts, I'm going to feel it. So this is how I would take apart an 1100 series and decide how I want to pin the top, the Bible. And it may or may not help you, but I think that for me as a picker, it greatly increased my awareness to spools, oversets, and serrations. It made it feel the feedback in the top of the keyway tension, specifically the dynamic tension. If you saw as I was picking, my finger on the tensioner was just bouncing slightly here and there. And when you hit a spool, you'll know it. You'll get that false set. Talking it through in your head and seeing it on the key pins, it's all going to help you by watching other videos from other pickers that are advanced far more than you, watching Lockpicking Lawyer, watching, God, there's just too many to mention. Honestly, I could go through my library in YouTube. There's also those folks on LPU that are just outstanding. They're all full of knowledge. Take as much as you can from these people and learn and grow. And you're seeing a very lazy puppy in the background. Sorry about that. Sam, you gonna say hi? Come here. You can see an ear. That is my wonderful companion, Sam. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope it helps at least some of the mystery of why different people will pin locks differently, or how to get some experience with those 1100s. If you're getting trouble with it, you can always get some standard pins to top them, and then pick it with standards. Take pictures of what you're doing as you do it. Remember the original order that the pins were in. Always remember that when you're looking at your Bible, there's this little cutout right here on these 1100s. That is for the very front, that ridge. So don't forget which side is which and what order the pins are on your pinning tray. If I'm going to dump these out, I'm going to set them like from this side this way. That's the way I always do it. Some people do it the other way around. But the orientation of these two stays the same on my bench, on my table, on my pinning tray. It doesn't change. That helps me retain where things are, where things need to go when I put them back together. Start good habits now. When you get into those 15 pinners, the bigger dimple locks that are complex as all get out, you don't want to be trying to figure out a system then. Figure that system out now when you're in the white belt, blue belt, orange belt, green belt, yellow belt phase. And then that should help you out. If I've forgotten something or missed something, it was unintentional. I have all the respect in the world to the community and the people that make this sport so much fun. I genuinely love lockpicking. For me, every time I get an open, it's like, yay. It's a little pat on the back. It's some dope. It's dopamine. It's some of that good feelings. So highly encourage, if you're stuck, ask questions. There are people in the Discord that will help you out so much. And there are people in the lock sport community that want nothing more than to see you succeed and get further in and pick more. Bottom line, practice, practice, practice. Have fun. Red Tail out. Bye for now.